Hi, I'm Glamador, and this is Irena. She's a spring chicken. Only blood level 45 and hardly any points in skill, and she's going to kick Amygdala's ass for you today. She's going to be using a threaded cane plus 5 and a flame sprayer plus 6. You should have plenty enough shards at this point to get at least one weapon to plus 5, which is all you need. But let's get to the fight, shall we? Alright, here I am. Got my flame sprayer, my cane, all tricked out. Oh, gotta put some bone marrow ash on, don't forget that. It's important. Alright, let's get this. Good approach. Alright, and whoa, no! What? Hey! No, stop! Wait! What? Fuck! No! Wait! Where? How? No! What? Whoa! No! I imagine that's how a lot of you are feeling right about now. Let's start again, shall we? Now what you actually want to do is not approach her and dodge backwards and to the side before making some space between you. But first, we need to look at some of Amygdala's tells. Bear with me, she has a lot. When you see her raise her left arm high like this, she's going to do a sweep. It is not safe to approach after this, as you see. If she raises her left arm slightly lower, as here, she is going to use two arms for a sweep. It is just as unsafe as the one-arm sort, as seen when I approach. When you hear a low growl and Amygdala starts to ooze, she's going to spit up a bit under her head. You have a very tight window to hit an arm, not the head, before she counters. Now, if you're too close, as after pressing an opening, she will sometimes do a close-range slam, which you can avoid by just walking backwards. When Amygdala wiggles her head a bit and grows many eyes, she is going to sweep a laser across the field. You need to break lock on and run to either side to avoid it. The lasers take a short time to actually damage you, so run right through it if you have to. Now this attack I call the open arm swing, as she ends up with both arms in the air. This is not safe. But if you can bait the follow-up, as seen here, she is very open after that. But perhaps the best time to approach Amygdala is after this attack. She'll push forward with her right, then her left arm, followed by a slam, when you can just wail on her for a good 2 to 3 swings, depending on your weapon. If you stand to either side of Amygdala, she will perform some specific side swipes, depending on if you are to her left or right side. These can all be avoided by staying at a decent range when circling her flank. You can see some of them have a pretty wide range. If you stand directly behind Amygdala, she will use a completely useless footstomp. But your point is to bait out this jump attack, which gives you a completely free charge attack to her face. Even when she looks very close, you will not get hit. Just stand still and charge R2. But after, she might use a close range attack like this very slow grab, or this equally unthreatening flail. So just move. But this might be at once her most threatening and her most vulnerable attack. It hits the longest range of any but the laser, but can be dodged to the side easily, with many aggressive approaches open to you afterwards. Even with a short weapon like the Blades of Mercy, I have time to rush in for a stab. With a quick weapon, this can be one of your best opportunities to deal damage by hitting the vulnerable extended arm for very good damage. But those were the easy attacks. When she screams, things get heated. In Phase 2, each of her slam attacks get a lingering AoE burst. The least threatening of which is this all-arm slam, which can be avoided by just standing still, with plenty of time to follow up. This flail will only happen if you get close, and it is just as pointless as it was in Phase 1. Fire at will. Your favorite attack from Phase 1 gets a little more dangerous. The hitbox on the AoE lingers for a moment, so the window for approach gets a bit tighter. But that doesn't mean this isn't still your best counter opportunity. You just need to be a little bit more careful about when. By far, the most dangerous new attack is the long-range slam, where before, dodging backwards would give you enough invulnerability to avoid damage. Such is no longer the case. For this reason, you must maintain a standard distance from Amygdala. Getting trapped against a wall is much worse in Phase 2. At best, you take a hit. At worst, you die. But dodging to the side avoids death and gives an excellent opportunity to attack. The bursts are not the only Phase 2 change, though. The pitiful ooze attack from Phase 1 now sprays goop in a much wider radius, and it's tough to see on the ground. But a long-range attack like a Molotov is still a good option. Though be careful, because if you accidentally push her into Phase 3 with goop out, well... you get the picture. The lasers get an upgrade too, but you dodge the same way, so who cares? But a boss fight begins before you ever reach the Nightmare Fog. The run to your soon-to-be victim can be just as important as what you do in the boss room. Right here on the way, we see an opportunity to get some blood bullets with no HP loss. With the right runes equipped. If you intend to use your flame sprayer or cannon in this fight, those 5 bullets can be the difference between a finishing blow and death. That said, anticipating your death, you may want to stand in this spot on the elevator so you can facilitate sending it back up and expedite your next journey. A good rule of thumb regarding weaknesses is that beasts take extra damage from fire, and the kin take extra damage from bolt. Since Amygdala appears to be one of the great ones, and she most definitely counts as kin, you might want to bring some bolt paper or a natural bolt weapon, such as the Tonitrus or the Hunter Tool Tiny Tonitrus. But now we're going to get into some of the more specific strategies of approach, weaponry, and tactics. You'll want to bring a weapon that hits high, as such shorter weapons like the Blades of Mercy may not be your best option. The Hunter's Axe, Threaded Cane, Kirkhammer, and Ludwig's Blade have excellent overhead swings that hit both in the air and on the ground, so I recommend those for this fight. The key to beating Amygdala is knowing your spacing and her tells. That might be said of a lot of bosses, but it's especially true with one that has the kind of reach that Amygdala has. If she gets you backed up against a wall, there are any of 6 arms handy that she could end you with. For this reason, you must keep a standard amount of space between her and you. Notice the distances I'm standing here. This is generally the distance you want to stay at to avoid attacks without ending up too far away to press your advantage afterwards. But this right here is what we call jump baiting. Standing behind Amygdala, she has a much greater chance of doing a jump. Amygdala may not be weak to fire, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. One of the absolute best tactics in this fight is to repeatedly sweep her face with the flame sprayer or the Rosmarinus, if you have it. The cannon works equally well, but it has fewer shots and uses far more bullets. Make sure to buff with Bone Marrow Ash and hit Amygdala with an oil urn beforehand for the best results. Even if it hits her arm, it'll still count. Here you can see the red glow that indicates Amygdala has healed her head, meaning she is vulnerable to being staggered and thereby visceral attacks. With proper buffing, you can skip her entire Phase 2, as you can see here. And it is at this point that you never want to be in front of Amygdala again. It is the worst place to be. Her attacks are wider and her pattern less predictable. But from behind, the opposite is true. Back here, you can repeatedly bait the same predictable attack with 100% confidence. Unlike in Phases 1 and 2, her jump no longer tracks. It goes straight forward in a line. Use this to your advantage. You know where she is going to land, so you know exactly where you want your weapon to be. Make it so. You can see how simple-minded she becomes. That said, she can still be dangerous. Not enough to be threatening, but make sure to keep your HP topped off. I should note as well that the Flame Sprayer is still an excellent damage-dealing tool. Now let's put that all together and see what a winning fight looks like. Don't buff with Ash until after you're sure you can survive at least the first 5 seconds of this fight. I missed with my first urn here, but thankfully I have more. And at this point it's just a matter of waiting for an opportunity. Which comes right here. You can continuously spray her face, even while she's staggered, and by waiting for the last possible moment to perform a visceral, you can maximize damage, and even get in some pot shots while she recovers. From here it's just standard spacing and attacking whenever you get the opportunity. Another oil urn. Remember what I said about it being hard to see? Now, I get extremely unlucky here, as she does 3 goops in a row, preventing me from safely progressing to Phase 3. Fortunately, I missed my stab here, or that would have been all the way to the end game. Here we go. Remember what I said about bolt paper? Now is the time. By the gods, I love that crackling sound. And from there, it's just a matter of time before she falls like a game of Jenga. You'll be tempted to press your advantage here when she staggers, but it's far better to just keep up the safe pattern. Like a game of Jenga. Thanks for watching, and good hunting.